Hey everyone, Erin here. Today we're going to do another little walkthrough of a garden that's not mine. A couple weeks ago, maybe it's a few weeks ago now, I went over to Walter's Gardens, which is a wholesale perennial grower in Zeeland, Michigan. I think it's Zeeland. It's near there. And they are the perennial partner for Proven Winners. So they work with Proven Winners and grow a lot of those plants. They also grow a lot of plants that are not Proven Winners plants. And this was part of a creators event that was going on over there. And we had the chance to do a little bit of strolling around their display gardens there. Now, this is not going to be like a formal garden tour of it because there wasn't really an opportunity for good filming. The filming is not great on this. It was kind of a slapdash sort of thing of like kind of running through the garden. But I always say that every time I go into another garden, I always take something away. I have never walked through a garden and not taken a little nugget of something away. And so that's what I thought I'd share with you in this video today. Primarily, this is going to be about things I noticed with specific plants or a way that things were planted. This is a display garden that they use for photographing their plants. A little bit of trialing plants, maybe more like observation rather than trialing. They do trials in other places where you they actually have a separate trial garden that we did not go into. But that's where they compare similar plants to each other, things like that. And they really take a look at them. This is more of a display garden and an observation garden, I think is how they would describe it. And it's all planted in big long rows, so, or most of it. There's one little area that was kind of a little bit more designed around a building. But for the most part, this is not the way you would design a home garden. So from that aspect, it's not really meant to be enjoyed in that way. But there are little cool nuggets that came out of this garden that I wanted to share with you that just kind of caught my eye. So join us as this lovely cat takes us on a little stroll through the garden. They have some very friendly cats in the garden there. This little guy was really cute, as you can tell. And we're going to roll into a little bit of a garden. Now, the first thing I just want to show you, this is, so we went on just a little walk around the gardens. This is with Chris Stenwick. And she is one of the, I think, 4th generation owners of Walter's Gardens now. And she pointed out that one of the things they were doing was growing pitcher plants. And they have, I think she said they have buried little like tubs underwater. So under the ground. So that's how these plants are growing in a garden bed with normal plants. They do have a bit of a water source, like little mini pools kind of underneath there, apparently. So let's take a look at the pitcher plants and then we're going to roll into and I'll talk to you a little bit about just some of the cool plants that are there.
These are their pitcher plants. So they are carnivorous. I'm going to wait to open one up until, well, I'm going to actually open this one up. It looks like it has done its job. And I'm so glad I'm starting on this because I won't be able to wash my hands for a little bit here, but I'll try not to touch it. So, oh yeah. So it has like a stomach full of flies and whatever else. Oh, I see a spider. So kind of a cool bog plant that I feel like is really like kids would like it and maybe even could keep your fly population down.
So then we came to this little area that was a white garden. I know that white gardens are really popular, and so I thought it was cool to show this. This front edge is all planted with Artemisia silver lining. It is the only Artemisia that I like. I have been burned by Artemisias before, but silver lining is a beautiful, beautiful plant. I like it a lot. In fact, I picked up 3 more of them while I was there to add to the garden. I have one. This was a huge front row of them, and you can just see they really have this great texture. And then there's some white buddleia in the back there. This little shade garden was really beautiful. Now, I think this is Falling in Love Sweetly Anemone, but this is an anemone. Boy, they had beautiful ones there. I got to add more to my garden. Mine don't look like that. Also, maybe for the first time in my life, I really loved the flowers on these hostas they had growing through here. I mean, here's some in big sort of raised bed, big container type plantings that were just absolutely beautiful. Really nice texture in this little shade area. So you will see a lot of hardy hibiscus throughout this video because they have a lot of them in the garden. It is not my favorite plant for a variety of reasons, but they sure have some beautiful ones there. Here's where we get into more of the rose situation. So as you can tell, like this is more for looking at plants. I did find myself admiring several butterfly plants there, and butterfly bushes, and it's shocking to me because it's again, that's another plant that I sort of stopped growing, mostly because they just emerged so late. But they did have some really pretty ones there. At least they were all in, of course, they were all in flower when we were there, so that always helps. And here's where we met up with our little cat friend. In another part of the garden, this was maybe one of my favorite plants that I saw, and this is not in the Proven Winners line, I don't believe. This is a crocosmia called Peach Flambe. Peach Flambe, I think that's right. And oh my gosh, it was such a beautiful color. You know, it's different from that red, which is the crocosmia color we see a lot. And I loved how it just played up above all the other plants in this area. They have a lot of yuccas growing around. Proven Winners introduced a yucca last year, and I can see the attraction. There's more of those pitcher plants growing. They certainly grow them well. I don't know that I would, I don't know if it's worth trying it, honestly, but they also have really good sedums. I think this is Back in Black. Was really, all the sedums were in full color too, so of course things were looking really good in the garden. Maybe one of my favorite plants I saw there, sorry about the shadow here, was this eucomis, which is stunning. That's a Proven Winners plant. Then we ended up in like hibiscus row here, and so for all you hibiscus fans, I had to take a stroll down this. Obviously this is full sun, and in a northern climate like Michigan, which I think is zone 6B in this area, you know, this is what they want. They want this super full sun. There's no shade on these at all during the day. This is something I really loved, which was planting Mangave with sedum around them. This is Popstar sedum. I'm not sure what Mangave that is, but I thought this was a really cool way to plant Mangave and have them make sense as part of a regular perennial garden. That Nepeta that you see there is Lemon Queen. I brought one of those home too. Look how beautiful that was looking. Fresh, still flowering. Not all the Nepetas there looked that good. This is Treasure Island Rudbeckia. Seems to be a lot of people really love it. Krista really loved it. And you can see how it's growing very well. I wonder how that compares to American Gold Rush, which was the perennial plant of the year a couple of years ago. But it certainly looks great there. Good habit on it too. And kind of a nice color, not too orangey gold. Behind that is the new Vernonia that they have, which that's a great combination, that Vernonia and that Rudbeckia. More hibiscus. I think this is, what is it? Milk and Cookies, I think maybe is that one. Anyway, I do love the dark foliage with the white flowers. It's really stunning. Behind that is Gara, which I thought was so pretty floating around. They really arranged these gardens in kind of little color schemes so that you could take each section and you could kind of plop that as an idea into your garden. Here's the Mangave area. That's Praying Hands, which is just the coolest. I'm not sure which one those are, but I love this one. This might have been my favorite one that I saw. And they're just enormous, huge. But the Mangaves are very cool, and Hans Hansen who's the breeder at Walters, has been working really hard on creating some really interesting varieties. The difference in varieties is pretty amazing. Now these, they pull, to my knowledge, they pull all these. I think they plant them all in there, and then I've seen this before. They dig those up and then they pot those up and they grow those in, overwinter those inside, because they are questionably hardy there, and they're definitely not hardy for me. Just some more Mangaves to take a look at the vast variety of them. You can see some of these are putting up flower stalks, which generally means that part of the plant is, well, it does mean that part of the plant is done. Some will push out pups, and then you would have, that's how you would carry the plant on. Sometimes they don't push out pups, and then they're done when they flower. It takes many years for them to get to enough maturity to flower, though. This little corner of the garden had some very, very, very cool things in it, and I just loved it. I think this Astobia is called Dragon Slayer, and it's not released yet, to my knowledge, but it was beautiful. And I'll tell you, growing in full sun here, so you know, this is not something that I would have thought of, but clearly this one is doing great. This is growing here with little blue stem and some Nepeta, and I'm not sure what Nepeta this is in this case. It could be cat's pajamas. So here's another spot where we've got a Mangave, if you can see that in the front, Mangave with some sedum growing around it, and we've got back and black sedum behind that, kind of lending to that purple color that they have going on in this part of the garden. The alliums were absolutely phenomenal. This is Serendipity. I don't know if you can see all the bees that are flying around it, but it was just so loud. They were so happy there. Did big mass plantings of these, which is how I think alliums look best, is in these giant big groupings. And then I just loved this planting. This was repeated on this patio. So in the center there is a Temple of Bloom Heptacodium. That's the sort of smaller Seven Suns flower tree that Proven Winter has. Some Serendipity alliums, and then Amsonia, and I don't know which Amsonia that is, but it's like close to Hubrectii or something with the very fine leaves on it. Such a good textural combination, and then you can see they've repeated that down on the other end of the patio in this square. And I'm kind of obsessed with this combination. I think it is so good. This garden I want to point out because this is such a cool idea. So when you look around the top here, you see plants that like it. Yucca, there's Nephofia, there's junipers in this area. So you're thinking, oh, okay, this is a dry garden. And then you go, what is that hardy hibiscus doing there? And you look a little bit more and you're gonna see some irises. And it turns out that this planting is a water catchment area that is lowered probably 3 feet or so, and you see all that stone in the bottom. And so this is all to, you know, help with water runoff from the parking lot, I'm assuming. And what they've done is they've had to create a water catchment area. So we've got beautiful water-loving plants that will love those kinds of conditions in there. But around it, we have these dry plants. And I think it's such a clever way to disguise what is a really necessary garden. And I think it's just a good reminder that sometimes we look at these things as, oh, I have to make a water catchment area. What am I going to do with it? And here's a way that they did something really clever, and you cannot tell at all that that is a water catchment area at all until you're standing on that bridge and you're looking down in there. Now, of course, this garden had all sorts of other beautiful things in it, but like I said, had kind of a limited time to just kind of run around, run and gun with the camera, which is why, you know, video quality not great on this one. But I thought that might give you some plants to sort of think about, be on the lookout for if you saw something. I just really love how they were showing some of these things in really interesting combinations, because that's always really helpful, I think. It's not just about a cool plant, it's how are we gonna use that cool plant, and what are we gonna put with that cool plant. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you found a little nugget of inspiration here. If you did, please give this video a like and subscribe, and keep watching, because there's another video right here.